Hello and welcome to this new vlog. It's kind of getting back to what this channel did all the way back when it started, before it became about predominantly Doctor Who and now UFOcast. I'm not a big fan of the standard vlog editing thing where you just use one camera and do lots of cuts. So if I make a mistake, I'll cut to a different camera angle, or I'll just switch back and forth between them as I choose. So first things first, watch The Good Place. I want to talk about it in a future episode, but I can't do that until you've watched it, and I don't want to give you any spoilers. It's currently in its second series, broadcasting in the US, and it's available on Netflix in the UK. The first series is 13 episodes, 22 minutes an episode, so you should be able to blitz through it very quickly, and then we can talk about it on a future episode. First thing I want to talk about is a petition that was started by Matt Parker on his Stand Up Maths channel about changing the geometry of the symbol for football stadiums on British road signs. Head over to his channel to watch the video where he explains that. There'll be a link down below. As you may know, if a petition on the UK government website gets to 10,000 signatures, the government has to respond to it. If it gets to 100,000 signatures, it has to be debated in Parliament. And as I look now, it's just shy of 20,000 signatures. So the government has responded at the 10,000 signature level. Now, I'm not going to read the whole of the response. Again, there'll be a link, you can read that for yourself, but I think it's a load of tosh. And I'm just going to read a section and give my interpretation of it. The purpose of a traffic sign is not to raise public appreciation and awareness of geometry, which is better dealt with in other ways. If the correct geometry were put onto a sign, it would only be visible close up and not from the distance at which drivers will see the sign. So what they're saying is, at a distance, you won't be able to tell the difference between the correct geometry and the current incorrect geometry, but the sign will still have its purpose of telling you there's a football stadium coming up. The detail of the geometry would also not be taken in by most drivers who are merely looking at the sign's direction. Yeah, so essentially, it doesn't matter for the purpose of direction. But then it says, the higher level of attention needed to understand the geometry could distract a driver's view away from the road for longer than necessary, which could therefore increase the risk of an incident. Now that seems to me a contradiction of what they've just said. They've just said most people aren't going to notice it, but now they're saying that the geometry of the correct version could distract people. The people who are currently annoyed by the wrongness of the geometry are people who know what the correct geometry should be. And every time I see one of these signs, it distracts me because I look at it and go, no, it's all hexagons, it should be hexagons and pentagons. People who don't know that it's wrong won't be distracted if it's changed to the correct geometry. So I think this is a stupid argument from the government. And then it says, additionally, the public funding required to change every football sign nationally would place an unreasonable financial burden on local authorities. The department could not justify the spending needed as an exercise to increase public awareness and appreciation of geometry. If they'd read the petition properly, that isn't what he was asking. What he was asking is that the design for any future signs is changed, and that as signs are naturally replaced in the course of wear and tear, that it would be replaced with the correct symbol. He wasn't asking for them to change all the existing signs. So that's just rubbish, government. So please go, sign the petition, get it to 100,000 signatures, and then it will have to be debated in Parliament in the UK. The other thing I want to talk about is a YouGov survey which has just come out, and the headline is, most Britons think only 6 of the 10 commandments are still important principles to live by. And this was a survey that was done by YouGov asking people whether they thought each of the 10 commandments was still important, not important, or they didn't know. And there are a couple of striking things that I want to draw out from this, and that's the first is that only 93% think that you shall not commit murder is still important, with 5% who don't know, and 2% who think, no, it's not important. I posted this on Facebook yesterday, and some people responded saying, well, clearly the people who said no are joking. That is hopefully the most benign interpretation of this survey, but it seems a bit odd that people are like, oh, it's okay to commit murder. I mean, clearly people who committed murder maybe think it's okay, the ones who aren't filled with remorse, but 7% who I don't know or think it's not important still seems quite a big percentage. The other thing I want to talk about is the way that Christians responded to the survey, because the results are also presented with percentage of non-religious people and percentage of Christians who said whether they thought things were important or not. And there's a general trend. So although the Christians universally think that all of them are more important than the non-Christians do, the trend is still there. And so it means that those 4 commandments relating specifically to God, less than 50% of Christians think that they're important. that's interesting. I'm assuming that the way that they did this was that it was self-identification. So you didn't have to do anything to prove that you were a Christian. You just had to say that you were a Christian, which is fair. You wouldn't do a doctrinal questionnaire on a YouGov survey to figure out who was a Christian and who wasn't. But what I think is interesting is that this shows what I think is a wide diversity of opinion among people who call themselves Christians. Because I think those 4 commandments are reasonably central to what being a Christian is about. I am the Lord your God, you shall have no other gods before me. That seems pretty central to Christianity to me. So what I'm interested to know is, for those, if anybody who's watching would consider themselves a Christian, that would be a label that you would apply to yourself, and yet you don't think any of those 4 commandments, the ones about worshipping idols, not using the Lord's name in vain, keeping the Sabbath, and not worshipping other gods apart from the Christian God. If you think those aren't important anymore, but you still call yourself a Christian, I'd be interested to know why. So please comment in the comments below. I'll put a link to the survey so you can see all the results. I'm interested in comments that anybody may have. So that's that. Please subscribe to the channel for more of this kind of thing and the other kind of things that the channel does. Go and explore, see the kind of things that I do. Click the bell icon if you want to be notified of every time I do a new video. And there are playlists over there of other things that I have done that you might want to watch. See you next time.